Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for coming and joining us as everybody gets very busy over here. And we are ahead. We are holding 9 lines from the top at the 2 dots. We had 2 different views. Yud Zayin Amud Aleph. Yud Zayin Amud Aleph. 9 lines from the top. Now, we have 2 views. One of Rabbi Shmuel and one of Rabbi Akiva about what happened in the Midbar. According to Rabbi Shmuel, in the Midbar, they weren't allowed to eat basar taiva. They weren't allowed to shecht just to enjoy meat. They were close to the Mishkan, so they should go and they bring a shlamim and they'll eat a portion from the shlamim. That's the opinion of Rabbi Shmuel. Rabbi Akiva says, in the Midbar, they didn't have to shecht. In the Midbar, they could even have basar nechira, where you kill the animal through the nostrils. There are different opinions of what basar nechira is, but basically where you shot the animal and you didn't need to shecht it, and it was only when they went to Eretz Yisrael that they needed to shecht it. So there's 2 different schools of thought. So the Gemara says and puts it into perspective. But my kamiflagi, what's Rabbi Yishmael and Rabbi Akiva arguing? Rabbi Akiva savar basar taiva lo yitzer klal. Rabbi Akiva says there was never a time that you weren't allowed to make for a barbecue. The only thing is that in the midbar you didn't have to do shchita. You could even have basar nechira. Rabbi Yishmael said there was never a time that you were allowed to do it without shchita. Rabbi Yishmael savar basar nechira, slitting it through the nostrils, lo yishtrei klal. So the Gemara says, yeah, but even so, they bought animals from tribes nearby that passed by.
Did they leave the time with their own cattle?
They had cattle also, yeah. What are you asking?
I'm not sure. I mean, why would they?
So they had both. They could buy it from peddlers if they had their own and they wanted to use their own. They could do that too. So now, let's mute everybody here. So now, the Gemara says, Bishleima l'Rebbe Yishmael. Rabbi Yishmael said that you always needed to shecht. So Hainu d'chsiv shachad es ben habakar. That's why it said in the Midbar when they did the olos, it says v'shachad es ben habakar. El Rabbi Akiva, but according to Rabbi Akiva, that in the Midbar you could do basar nechira. My v'shachat says, no, you're talking about an oila. Even Rabbi Akiva agrees that kochim needs shchita. That's one of the 4 avodas adam. Kochim shani. Bishleim el Rabbi Yishmael hainu d'chsiv atzayin uvakar yishchat lahem. Yishachet lahem. That the sheep and the cattle, they're slaughtered for them. It says Gemara, but according to El Rabbi Akiva, my atzayin uvakar yishachet lahem. What does it mean that atzayin uvakar will be slaughtered for them? It should say that they could be stabbed. They don't have to be shecht. It says the Gemara, the word slaughter is a loose word. You know, like people say, the team played basketball and they slaughtered them. You know, the word slaughter can be used loosely. So, according to Rabbi Akiva, nechira in the Midbar was slaughter. Nechira shalahen zui shchitasen. Says Gemara Bishleim el Rabbi Yishmael. I understand according to Rabbi Yishmael, who says that nechira was never acceptable. Hainu ditnan ashoichet v'nisnabla b'yadai. If let's say Eddie shecht and he ruins the animal, he makes it nevela, or v'anoicher, or if he stabs it, v'ama'aker, or he rips out the simonim. So by a bird, or by a chaya, potter melachasais. It's potter from doing kisei adam. Why? Because according to him, nechira was never permitted. So there was never a mitzvah of kisei adam by nechira. El Rabbi Kiva, but according to Rabbi Kiva, when the mitzvah of kisei adam was given, in the midbar there was nechira. So the chari kisei adam is included in nechira. So then why am I potter melachasais? Says the Gemara, yeah, but once it became asur, so then it's not acceptable, and therefore there's no mitzvah. Hoyel itzer. Once it becomes asur, it's asur. Wow, what do we have? We have 9 here? No, we only have 8. Says the Gemara, Bishleim Rabbi Kiva da Amar B'sar Taiva lo Yitzer Klal. It was never forbidden to have a barbecue. Hainu d'chsiv. That's what it says. That ach kasher yoichel es hatzvi ve'es ha'ayil. So, according to Rabbi Kiva, what changed? What changed is that in the midbar you did nechira, and in Eretz Yisrael you had to do shchita. So now we know that in the Beis Hamikdash you had to be careful. You had to be careful to eat kachim b'tara. So, of course, a tzvi and an ayil, a deer and a hart, shouldn't be confused with an ayil, which is a ram. This is an ayol, which is a hart, right? So, in the midbar, you had to eat kachim b'tara, but the deer and the hart, which is not kachim, you could eat it b'tumah. You might think that according to Rabbi Akiva, when they get into Eretz Yisrael, when you have to shecht, even chulin, I might think it had an extra holiness that you should eat it only b'tara. And it says no, like you ate the deer and the hart in the midbar, even b'tama. Kain teichleinu, you could eat even regular animals in Eretz Yisrael, although it needs shchita. El Rabbi Yishmael, but according to Rabbi Yishmael, he holds that there was no permit for B'sar Taiva in the Midbar, but rather you only went to the Mishkan, so then you're not allowed to eat Tzvi and Ayil in the Midbar. Because Tzvi and Ayil can't be a carbon. The carbon has to be a behema, not a chaya. So you can't have venison. So, according to him, what does it mean? Akasha yoichel tzvi v'ayil. El Rabbi Shmuel, tzvi v'ayil gufei mi avishari. Is that permitted in the midbar? So the Gemara says, yes. What animal, according to Rabbi Shmuel, was forbidden for B'sar Taiva? That which could be brought as a carbon. That which can't be brought as a carbon was not prohibited to have B'sar Taiva. Ki asa rachmana behema, the chazi ala krava. Aval chaya, the lechazia lakrava that can be brought to the mizbeach loyasir rachmano. I don't know. Somebody, Dr. Guy, you changed the screen.
Dr. Guy, you have to cancel share screen.
Dr. Guy, get off and come back on. Okay. All right, thank you. So says the Gemara, Boy Rabbi Yirmiyah, this is a cute question. Second wide line. Boy Rabbi Yirmiyah, according to Rabbi Kiva, remember in the Mishkan, in the Midbar, we were allowed to eat by stabbing the animal. Now, Baruch Ian is a thrifty guy. He's in the midbar. He stabs an animal, and then he makes beef jerky out of it. And he still has it when he goes into Eretz Yisrael. Could he eat it? Now in Eretz Yisrael you have to shecht it. But this is an animal that was stabbed when it was allowed. Can he continue eating the beef jerky? So by Rabbi Yirmiyah, Evrei Basar Nechira, according to Rabbi Akiva, limbs of Basar Nechira, Shechnisu Yisrael Imam La'aretz, that they brought into Eretz Yisrael. You didn't know that Baruch Yin was that old. Mao, what's the din? So the Gemara says, Emas, Ilema B'Sheva Shekifshu, in the 7 years that they conquered the land, the 7 years that they conquered the land, when they needed to be, have strength, they were allowed to eat whatever they could get their hands on. We'll see they were even allowed to have bacon. Hashda Devar Tomei Yisraelu, they were allowed to have bacon. They found houses full of good. Rashi says this is bacon, so they even ate bacon. So Baruch Ian's beef jerky that was stabbed when it was mutter should surely be good. No, it's talking about that, as I said, Baruch is very thrifty. You know, he makes like these Romanian salamis. Where's Marshall when you need him, right? Where it could be preserved even after 7 years. No. We were allowed to eat bacon. We were only allowed to eat what we got from the goyim. That was a special heter. Our own stuff we can't eat if it's not kosher. That was a special dispensation to eat the booty of the goyim, what the Canaanites left. Did who light tishtere? But that which is theirs, perhaps it's not permitted. So the Gemara says teku. This is an interesting teku. This is a teku that's not even going to be gnageh at the time of Eliyahu. But it's a nice question for a Q&A. This is a good question for a Q&A. So by Eliyahu Navi, there'll be a Q&A, and Eliyahu will come and give us the answer. Okay, now, it said in the Mishnah, L'olam sheichten, Bakol sheichten, and Hakol sheichten. So we said L'olam sheichten meant even a bird. And Hakol sheichten, let's see. Amar Rabba Shanisa Hakol sheichten, U'La'olam sheichten, and Bakol sheichten. So we learned Hakol sheichten means even a bird. U'La'olam sheichten means even when we went into Gullus, we had to do Shrita. Bakol sheichten, my mashnsley. How are you going to explain Bakol sheichten? So you'll say, it means with any kind of knife. It's whether you're using a rack, whether you're using glass, whether you're using a stem of the reed. But it has to be similar to the other ones. Hadumya dahana ketani. Ihanach b'shkutin, things that are slaughtered. Hainami ihanach b'sheichten, thank you, those that are doing the shrita. Hainami b'sheichten. V'yanach b'nishchotim, that which is being slaughtered. Hainami b'nishchotim, it has to be consistent. Allah Amar Rava, we're going to make all three consistent. Hakol sheichten, so it says Hakol sheichten in the beginning of the parak, and it says Hakol sheichten here too. Chadal esuyei kusi, one is tell me kusi is good. If either if Hakerim Abdal Gaban or if he eats a piece. V'chadal asuyei Yisrael mummer, a renegade Jew who's a mummer l'davar echad l'teyavan, you could eat it shchita. L'olam sheichten, bein b'yoyim, bein b'layla, in the night if there's an avuka, bein b'rosh hagag, and we're not worried that he's shechting to the heavens, bein b'rosh hasrina, we're not worried that he's shechting to the sar shel yam, but he just doesn't want to get the boat dirty. Bakol sheichten, then bakol sheichten is bein b'tzur, bein b'schukas, bein b'kroim shel kana, both with a rock, a glass, or with a stem of a reed. chutz memagel kotzer, except for a small sickle, which is serrated, even on the inside, v'amegera, and a saw. So now we're going to learn a little bit about pegimos, about nicks in a knife, and what kind of a nick in the knife is a problem. So, and before we do that, we want to say that we're sponsored by Sholem Fogel, Nishmas Yaakov Zeb ben Yodaya, Rivka Bas Yaakov Yosef, Tzivya Miriam Bas Gad, Yosef ben Tziyam ben Yaakov Zev, L'Refu Shalema for Moshe Arya ben Miriam, for a great shidduch for Chayat Tzivya Bas Shoshana Gittel, a great shidduch for Bati Bas Sarah. We want to learn by Mark Frankel, Le'ili Nishmas Ilana Chana Bas Yosef Avram, by Menachem Yabansky, that he and all those that are waiting for a shidduch should find their shidduch quickly and easily, by Ed Saleh for Refuah Shalema for Yosef Shmuel ben Miriam, and that all expectant mothers should have a healthy mommy, healthy baby, especially Ariel Simcha, Bas Elza Rivka. So now the Gemara says, Chutz memagel kotzer v'amegera, except for the short sickle and a saw. So now the father of Shmuel wanted to hear from the big poskim in Eretz Yisrael what kind of, because you go to a chacham and you show him the knife to check the knife, he wanted to learn about what nick is a problem and what nick is not a problem. So Avur de Shmuel, Pagam v'shadar, he made one kind of a nick in a knife and sent it to Eretz Yisrael. Pagam v'shadar, then he made another and sent it. Finally, he sent so many questions that they sent him Sholchulei. The rule is Kemegera Shanina, that if it's like a saw, that means it has two sharp edges, that's not a good nick. And now the Gemara explains this. Tanarabana. Sakin sheyesh by pegimas harba, a knife that has many pegimos, many nicks. Tidain kimegera, it's like a saw and it's no good. V'she'ein ba ela pegima achas, if it has only one nick, so then it depends. Ogeres psula, if it catches the nail from two times, no, it's a V, so it goes down and then it has to come up. So it catches it two times. It's a V nick. That's possible. Misuchseches, if it's a slow dip and then it comes up like a straight wall, so the nail is only caught one time when it hits that straight wall. So then it's kosher. So the Gemara says, okay, could you talk English? What's the difference where it gets entangled and when it's only stopped once? There's two walls. It's like a V. So there's two sharp edges. It only has one sharp edge when it climbs up like a wall. So the Gemara says, Maishna mishnei ruchais, demur shekama, because the first edge, machlish, weakens it. It cuts through the hide and it weakens the esophagus or trachea. Or mursha basra, and the second edge, buzzer, punctures and makes it a treifa. Says the Gemara, well, but meruach achas nami, even if it has one sharp point, churfa de sakina machlish, the sharpness of the knife weakens it, mursha, and then the edge, buzzer, punctures it. Says the Gemara, you're right. The only time, if it only has one edge, that it's good, is dekam aresha de sakina, where it's at the front of the knife. Says the Gemara, but saif, we go back and forth. So when you go forward and back, when you hit it, when you come back, it's going to make a puncture. Ki ozlo machlasha, when you go one way, it's going to weaken it. Ki asa, when you come back, baza, it's going to puncture it. Says the Gemara, it's talking about a long knife that you don't have to go back and forth. It's a long knife that you don't have to go back and forth. Amar Rava, Gimel Midos Besakin. There are 3 categories by a knife. Oigeres, if it has a V shape, 2 sharp edges, lo yishkait. Vim shachad, and if you did shchitas psula. Misilseches lo yichshad lechatchila, because it's only good if it's at the front of the knife, and you might come to shechta when it's not at the front of the knife. Vim shachad, and it's at the front of the knife, shchitas ksheir. Oile v'yored, if it's uneven, it goes up and down, but there's no sharp edges. Oile v'yored isakin sheikha balachachila. You shech with it in the first instance. Amalei Rav Huna Bereidu Rav Nechemia Rav Ashi. Amrat Lon Mishmei de Rava. You told us in the name of Rava, Misilseches Psula, that if it only has 1 sharp edge, it's puzzled. Vaha, we learned Misilseches Ksheira. Says the Gemara, no problem. L'kasha kansha hoylech v'hevi, when it's not a long knife, so you have to go back and forth. So then it weakens it and then punctures it. Kansha hoylech v'loyevi, if it's a long knife. Amalei Rav Achav Reid Rav Avila Rav Ashi. Damyula Sasor, if it's like a stalk of wheat, where it's bumpy, but again it doesn't have any sharp edges, what's the din? Amalei, he said, Man Yov Lon Mibisra, if somebody gave me from meat which was shechted with a bumpy knife, Vachlinan, I would eat it. Amar Rav Chisda, Menayin lebedika sakim min haTorah. How do we know that we have to check the knife from the Torah? Shenemar, it says, this pasuk I think is by Shlomo HaMelech.
King Saul.
Oh, it's by Shaul HaMelech. By Shaul HaMelech. By Shaul HaMelech, he said, Ushchatetzim b'zeh, shechted with this, v'achaltem. He didn't just say Ushchatetem v'achaltem, but b'zeh, meaning with a check knife. Says the Gemara, I don't understand. Why do you need a pasuk? Obviously you have to check it because we said if it has a V shape, it's going to make it a treifa. Pshita came in the chinokav treifa. Since if it perforates it, it's a treifa. Boy bedika, it needs to be checked. Says the Gemara, l'chacham kamrinan. How do you know that you have to show it to a sage? Says the Gemara, but showing it to a sage is not. It's not implied that it's from a verse, even from a Gila Milsa of a pasuk in Divrei Kabbalah. It implies it's only because of respect to the sage. Honor of the sage. Very good Gemara for the days of Svira, when we work on Kavod HaTorah. Says the Gemara, you're right. The pasuk is not really the source, midrabanan. It's only rabbinical. Ukra asmach the balmo, and the pasuk is a mere mnemonic to remember the law. Now, how did they check it? B'ma'arava batkila b'shimsha. In the Eretz Yisrael, they checked it in the sun. Rashi says an interesting shot. They held it to the sun, and they looked at the shadow that was cast, and they could see in the shadow if it had a pagima. Benarda batku labamaya. They put it in the water and they saw from the ripples of the water if there was a pagima. Rav Sheshes badikle bereish lishnei. He. This is kind of something you shouldn't do if you don't know what you're doing, because the shchita knife is very sharp, very sharp. But he tested it with the tip of his tongue. Rav Acha bar Yaakov badikla b'chut hasara. He tested it by putting a hair, sliding a hair on it. Besura imrei bisra achla. The knife cuts flesh. Bisra lifted. You should check it with flesh, with your tongue. Amra Papa. Tzricha, hold on a second, let me mute people. Okay. Amar Papa, Tzricha bedika abisra v'atufra. You see, one of the simanim, the trachea is more cartilage, while the food pipe is more flesh. So therefore you should check it with your tongue, which is fleshy, and with your nail, which is more like cartilage. Vatlosa ruchasa. You have to check all three sides, because there can't be a nick on the edge, and there can't be a nick on the sides, which would cause a treifa. Now we're going to see that this is not so pashut, because if you remember, we said liben sakin v'shachad bar. If you made the knife red hot, you could check with it. What we asked, the sides will burn, and we said beis hashchita mirvach rafach. The beis hashchita widens out, so the sides don't touch it. So we'll see that not everybody holds that you need to check the sides. So let's see the Gemara inside. Amalei Ravino Rav Ashi, Amalon Rav Sama Bered Rav Misharshia Mishmecha. Rav Sama, the son of Rav Misharshia, said, in your name, Rav Ashi, the Amrit Le Bishmei de Rava, that you said in the name of Rava, Tzricha Bedika Abisra with the tongue, Vatufra with the nail, Vatlasa Ruchasa, and on all three sides. Amalei, he said to him, Abisra Vatufra Imre, but Vatlasa Ruchasa, that at the edge and the two sides, that lo Imre. Ikidamre, others say, Abisra Vatufra Vatlasa Ruchasa, Amre. I taka said all three, but I didn't say it in the name of Rava. Mishmei de Rava lo Imre. Now, as I told you, this on all three sides is not a universal thing. Ravina v'Rav Acha b'rei de Rava have Yosvei kami de Rav Ashi. Ravina and Rav Acha, the son of Rava, was sitting before Rav Ashi. Aisu sakin the kamei de Rav Ashi. They brought to honor Rav Ashi the knife, livdika, to check. Amalei, he delegated it. Amalei to Rav Acha b'rei de Rava bitka, check it. So Badka, he checked it at Tufra with the nail, Vabisra with the tongue, Vatlasa Ruchasa, and on all three sides, the edge and the two sides. Amalei Yasher, you should be strengthened. V'chein Amar Rav Kahana. Rav Yema says no. Rav Yema Amar at Tufra Vabisra Tzricha. You have to check it with the nail and your tongue. At Tlasa Ruchasa Tzricha, you only have to check the edge. The sides never come in contact with the walls of the Beis Hashchita, but as you cut, it widens out. If you heated up a knife and you shechted with it, the shechita is kosher. Why? The sharpness gets there before the burning. The kashalan, but we had a difficulty, ikut studin, but there's the sides, and the sides will get burnt. V'amrina, and we say beis hashchita mirvach ravach. The place of the shchita widens out so that the sides of the knife don't touch it and don't get a chance to burn it. Hakanami beis hashchita mirvach ravach, and therefore would be no problem if there's a nick. So now, says the Gemara, and I didn't realize how fast I would be able to do this. If I would have realized how fast I would be able to do this, I might have thought about preparing a second blot for tonight, for Fallon. I didn't. Some day this week, we don't have many days. We don't have many days because Wednesday is the Chumash year, so we either have to do it tomorrow or Tuesday. You're going to have to learn 2 blot. So, okay, we'll see. Now, before we learn this last Gemara, let me welcome in Saba and Dr. Block and Mel Zachter and Eddie Chazan and Irving Fishbaum. By the way, we want to thank Irving Fishbaum. We had the question of how to pronounce the word K-I-L-N for a furnace. And, I always pronounced it kiln, and I was told on Shabbos by 2 people who are in the know that it's pronounced kill. Last night we got three opinions from different dictionaries that it is kiln, but Irving Fishbaum found in the Webster's unabridged dictionary that there is an alternate pronunciation of kill. So everybody is right. It could be called kiln. That is the first pronunciation. But there is also baking it in the kill. So when you say that Berish Gesman is going in for the kill, it doesn't mean what you think it means. Irving Fishbaum, Berish Gesman, Yaakov Warman, Dr. Guy, Baruch Ian, Shalom Fogel, Menachem Umansky, Reb Elia Yaffe, Yitzi Fuchs, Dr. Udell, Chaim Kramer, Michael, and Shlomi Schmidt. It's good to have you over here. Rabbi Krantz, Stephen Holtzman, Nachman Chaplin, Moshe Lehman, Avram Rozepkowitz, Shimon Klein, Yeshua Shmuel Eisenberg, Shelley Zeitlin, Ilya Shutman, David Helfgott, and we have Gedalia Engel here, and Michael Avram Chavin, Reb Shlomo Bernstein. We have Iran, and Danny Vogel, and Ruvain Shanit, and Herschel Waldner, well, we were off tonight by one, right? Yeah. Okay, so now the Gemara tells us that there are three types of pigimos. Not by Shchita. Three other places. Amar Avuna bar Rav Katina, Amar Reb Shimon ben Lakish, Shalosh pigimos saying there are three places where a nick is a problem. Pigimas etzem, to even nick a bone on Pesach, where it says etzem lo yisishberu bay, is a problem. Pigimas etzem b'Pesach. Pigimas oizen b'bechar, a nick in the ear of a bechar is already a mum. Pigimas mum b'kachim, and a nick in a mum by kachim. Now this comes to add, even by there are certain nicks by a female, which is not negaya by bechar, because bechar is only a male. But if there's a nick in the female genitals of an animal, it's a problem. Rav Chisda Amar af pigima sakin ar sugya. A pigima in a knife is a problem for shchita. V'idach b'chulin loy kamayri. We're not talking about chulin. Now, what is the size of the pigima? V'kulan pigimasan kidei pigimas hamizbeach. Just like we know the mizbeach is disqualified if one of the rocks has a nick, and that nick is even a kolshu. So here also the nick is a problem by all these cases, even a kolshu. Okay, Rabbi, so we're going to stop over here, and now we're going to count Sfira.